Hey guys, this is Gal. So we're going to do a short 2,500 point battle report. Empire versus Wood Elves. Me versus my wife. And this is just a for fun game. So let's go over my list. I'm playing the Empire. Okay, so I'm going to be starting off with my general. I'm going to be fielding Karl Franz, actually on a war horse. He will be using Galmaraz, the hammer. And he'll be my general. My second lord is going to be a level 4 shadow mage equipped with a channeling staff. I always take that channeling staff. It costs next to nothing points and gets me a lot of extra dice, so I highly recommend it. For my hero's choices, I'm going to be using a bright mage. It just kind of makes sense to bring fire when you're going up against wood elves. I'm going to be using a warrior priest with 2-hand weapons and heavy armor. I'll be bringing Luther Huss to go along with Karl Franz. I'm going to be using a Captain of the Empire as a battle standard bearer. And this model I'll be using as a engineer mounted on a horse with barding, just to give him a little extra protection. Doesn't actually have a shield. For my core choices, I'm going to be using a unit of 32 spearmen with full command. They will be accompanied by 2 detachments, one of 10 halberdiers, one of 10 swordsmen. I also have a unit of 10 handgunners and 2 blocks of 10 crossbowmen. And 1 block of 10 archers. I'll be using the old halfling models as my archers because I miss the halflings in my army. For heavy support, you might say, I'm going to be bringing 2 mortars and a Hellblaster volley gun. And lastly, as kind of a rapid response to put some heavy power where I need it, I'm going to be bringing one 11 strong unit of Reichsguard Knights. So off to my wife's army. So my wife's army is going to be led today by a level 4 sorceress with the Dawn Star and the Moonstone of Hidden Ways. That's right. You just lied. I just lied?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Erloth is the general.
Erloth is the general, I'm sorry. So Erloth is the general. And then she has the level 4 wizard. Also, for characters, she's bringing Nestor and Arahan in their Forest Dragon, which I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with since I didn't bring a cannon. For additional air support, she's bringing in 2 Great Eagles, even though one of them is a great big owl. For close combat, she's bringing in 2 units of Treekin. Now, to those who've seen our videos before, know that we both hate Treekin models, and she has chosen to use bears as Treekin. So that's what these are. She's also going to bring 2 units of Glade Riders, all with Hagbane arrows, each 8 strong with full command. And finishing up her core is going to be 3 units of Glade Guard, all 10 strong with a standard bearer and a musician, all equipped with Hagbane arrows. So we're going to set up the table and then we'll go over it. So a quick rundown of the table. We rolled a lot of strange objectives. So over there, that little TP is actually going to represent an idol of Gork. The huge tree trunk is a Tower of Blood. We've got 2 mysterious forests. That one isn't there yet. That's the one that the Wood Elves are going to place when they deploy. We've got a Weirding Well right in the middle. A Wizard's Tower. A standard run-of-the-mill marsh. And a mysterious river going through that corner of the table. So we're going to be doing deployment in one moment. And we are going to be doing dawn attack. So we're going to have to roll randomly to see where our units end up. So I'll go over the table after we've deployed. Let me just start by saying that random deployment is always extremely fun. So on the Imperial right flank, we have the Reichsguard, placed conveniently behind a unit of crossbowmen. That's annoying. I've got my Hellblaster volley gun and my mortar. Hellblaster is technically in right flank. Hellblaster is technically in the middle, but just right next to each other. The archers are placed in front of the mortar to give it some protection. In the center, I have the large unit of spearmen, accompanied by the Grey Mage and the Warrior Priest, and both detachments. A little bit more towards my left, I got the unit of crossbowmen, a unit of handgunners, the Bright Mage kind of hanging up behind them, and my last mortar. And the Wood Elves. Stuck behind the river is the dragon, which doesn't care about the river anyways. The unit of Treekin, the level 4 mage. On the other side, in the center, we have a unit of Glayguard, another unit of Treekin. In her free forest is another unit of Glayguard. And on the right flank, she's got Eraloth, I think his name is, a unit of Glayguard, and both of her eagles. So how this works is I get to roll a die. If I roll a 6, I get to pick who gets first turn. If I roll anything else, she gets to pick who gets first turn. So let's see what I roll. And I get a 1, so I have a feeling the Wood Elves are going to go first. So off to first turn. As the two generals prepare for war and we go over our spells, we notice that the field of battle is being watched carefully by the evil demonic beast that likes to join in our fights and attack our armies. So, will he... A couple of quick vanguard moves. The dragon moved up here behind the Tower of Blood, and the eagles moved up to a more defensive position, hiding behind the wizard's tower. And her wizard ran straight up to the river. I think it's getting ready to risk crossing it next turn. So off to Wood Elf turn 1. Wood Elf movement phase is completed, so Arahan and the Glayguard moved forward. I think they shuffled slightly. They shuffled slightly to the side. The wizard ran across the river, which ended up being a blood river. Or actually just walked, since she couldn't march through it. The Treekin are walking through the forest as we speak. The dragon flew over here in a threatening position on the handgunners. The two great eagles flew behind the forest. Looks like they're trying to get some cover. The Treekin behind them had advanced, so now off to the magic phase. So most of the Wood Elf shooting was out of range. In the magic phase, she managed to make the dragon ethereal with high magic, and gave it an extra 10 inches of movement, so it's right in front of my face, and I can't hurt it with any of my guns. Nistran and Arahan fired all of their shots, and due to some extreme luck on the Empire's side, they only managed to do 1 wound to the Bright Mage. So we are moving into Empire turn 1, and I don't know what to do about that dragon. We'll have to figure it out. The crossbowmen ran to get out of the way of the cavalry. The cavalry ran through the forest with the banner, was able to avoid any dangerous terrain tests. The archers moved forward. That position, the large unit moved forward and kind of turned to the left to kind of face the dragon. That detachment ran along the side. That one just moved backwards a couple inches to get out of the way. That unit said to heck with the handgunners, gave them up to their fate, try to get out of the way of the dragon. That unit has line of sight to the eagles, so they're going to try to get some shots off before they get killed by the dragon. The Bright Mage ran and got into the unit of spearmen. So off to my magic phase. Well, that was just no fun at all. Bright Mage fired the full strength fireball at it. Got a whopping, I think, 18 hits that did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Except roll a miscast, which blew himself up, and 7 spearmen. So, yeah, that was no fun. Okay, off to my shooting phase. Well, Empire shooting phase. Fired at that eagle with my handgunners, missed every shot. Fired at that one with my archers, hit a couple times, failed to wound. 2 mortar shots flew into that unit, 1 missed, the other one misfired. So apparently they forgot to put the powder in the gun, but at least it can fire next turn. Yeah, great turn. Off to Wood Elf turn 2. Movement phase down with the Wood Elves. The Treekin that were stuck in the river are slowly moving out. They're still slightly in it, so that's 1 more turn without charging. The dragon, as expected, charged into the handgunners. Unexpected, both eagles charged into these crossbowmen. I did manage to get 2 wounds on the eagle on the left with stand and shoot. but I'm not sure how well they're going to do this turn. These units repositioned a little bit, trying to get better lines of fire. Her mage joined the unit of Treekin, walked into this forest, and used her magic item to bounce over into this forest. So I now have her Treekin in my deployment zone. Yay. And one of her 2 units of ambushers showed up, and they positioned themselves to give a headache to my Hellblasters. So this should be an interesting turn. So off to her magic phase. So she fired Fiery Convocation on my unit of knights. I did lose 1 knight to it, but they survived otherwise. She then attempted to cast Soul's Quench. She got it off, but failed to do any damage with it. Miscast, and took a strength 6 hit, but rolled a 1 on the wounds. So the miscast did no harm to her. So off to her shooting phase. So Wood Elf shooting phase, they managed to kill 4 of my guys out of this detachment, but they made their leadership. And with the Hagbane, she managed to kill my Hellblaster right off the bat. So, yeah, off to close combat. Surprisingly, the crossbowmen actually won the fight. They killed 1 eagle, did 1 wound on the other one, and took no wounds in return. But the eagle made its leadership. The dragon, as expected, ate the thunderers, or handgunners, and then ran off the table. So this should be fun when it comes back. So, Empire turn, movement phase. The crossbowmen reformed to face. The knights reformed to face. The engineer showed the better part of valor and ran to the opposite side of the mortar.
Coward.
The archers turned around to try to get a couple of shots into these guys. Since the dragon's off the table, I've repositioned my men to try to get ready for when he shows up. And my detachment of halberdiers charged into the eagle to help out the crossbowmen. So off to my magic phase. So my mage managed to get rid of the Fiery Convocation on the knights, and then I attempted to wither the bird over here, but she managed to dispel that one. So off to my shooting phase. So mortar number 1 fired at the ambushers here and missed. Mortar number 2 fired into the packed ranks over there and missed. Then my halflings managed to kill 2 of the ambushers. They failed their leadership. Ran towards their table edge, landed on that unit, had to pop out of the other side, which landed on my unit, which popped them out to the other side, and they lost a couple in the run. So now we move on. Oh, but the Treekin passed their panic test, so now we're off to close combat. Only close combat at this time was the eagle. The crossbowman did a wound to it, taking 1 back in return, and the halberdiers finished it off. They both reformed, facing the incoming elves. And on to the Wood Elf turn, and we see where that dragon pops in. Alright, end of Wood Elf turn 3 movement phase. These guys rallied, took a position to shoot or at least irritate my archers. The second unit of ambushers came in behind my crossbowmen here. The Treekin made their leadership, were able to march to get the heck out of the way of the knights, and the sorceress went in the opposite direction towards the tower. Erlith tried to take Luther Huss's eye out with his bird, failed, and then ran up there to get involved with the fun on the other side of the table. The Wood Elves repositioned themselves a little bit to get into a better position. The dragon flew in and came in right there beside. I have a feeling he's going to try to barbecue some spearmen. Let's hope I make my leadership. And that's about it. So, the bears finally got out of the river. So next turn they can start marching. So let's see what she can do with her magic phase. So she attempted to cast Val's Unmaking on Karl Franz, and I managed to dispel it. She fired a Soul Quencher, something like that.
Yeah.
Another magic missile I was able to block, fired at them. But Fiery Invocation knocked this unit of 27 spearmen down to 5 remaining guys. Ouch. So I should say that again. Ouch. Off to Wood Elf shooting. So the ambush and glade riders killed 3 of my crossbowmen, and they made their test. She killed 1 of my Reichsguard with bowfire from that unit. These 2 units teamed up together to wipe out the detachment that was located here. The dragon breathed on my remains of my spearman unit and killed all down to the champion of the two characters, who quickly broke, panic, and caused the war machine to flee off the table. And Nystra and Arahan managed to kill one of these guys with their shooting. So on to close combat, which there is none. Empire turn 3. Well, the Empire has a bloody nose, but they're not quite out yet. The Reichsguard managed to charge her general, or not her general, but the wizard, who fled. I still managed to catch her and run into the Glade Guards, so I might be able to do some damage here. The skirmishing archers moved into position to try to light up whatever his name is, her general. These guys stayed put so they can put some quarrels into the back of the treekin over here. What remains of the spearmen managed to rally at the table edge. The swordsmen moved in front of them, and these guys are staying still to get a bead on these crossbowmen. So we'll see what I can do. So the only spell I managed to successfully get off was the miasma. I've reduced the dragon's weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, and movement by 2. Might help me survive the shooting phase at least a little bit. Problem is I miscasted and my wizard took a wound from that. So on to my shooting. Crossbowman fired into the tree king, got 1 wound, but she saved it. My skirmishers here managed to put a wound on Ariloth with their bows. My crossbow regiment over here managed to kill off 4 of her Glade Guards. So at least I did something. Oh, my mortar missed again. They bought 2 of them, and they haven't killed anything so far at all, except themselves. Alright, on to close combat. Reichsguard Knight make quick work of the Glade Guard and overran into the next unit. And that's all of the close combat. So moving on to Wood Elf turn 4. Both units of Fast Cav charged into my crossbowmen. Ariloth charged into my archers. Let's see if my halflings can take him on. Also, he took 1 more wound from stand and shoot, so he only has 1 wound left, so they have a chance. The dragon charged into my crossbowmen, who really have been doing pretty good this turn. Miraculous rolling. Let's see if it keeps up. And these guys ran finally and might actually make it to the battle before the game's over. So off to... Well, she doesn't have a wizard anymore, so no more magic phase. Off to shooting phase. I don't think she can shoot anybody. Everyone's in combat, so off to close combat. And of note, I forgot to mention, these guys drank from the weirding well and got back to full strength. So off to her close combat phase. Close combat went kind of half and half. The Glade Riders quickly dispatched the crossbowmen and pursued through and wiped them out. The archers actually managed to kill Ariloth, losing 3 of their own. The dragon quickly destroyed the unit of crossbowmen and overran, threatening the archers. And the Reichsguard, as expected, took out the Glade Guard and reformed to face the next unit of Glade Guard. So on to Empire turn 4. Engineer, beside the motor team, ran over, joined the detachment of swordsmen, as did the wizard and the warrior priest. That insane courage little guy who managed to rally is by himself and charged over here into the back of the Glade Guard. And they made their leadership test, allowing them to run. I think skirmishers can run all the time. And they ran out of the line of sight of the dragon, so at least he can't charge him, but they can still shoot the heck out of him. So, on to my shooting phase. And tried to put miasma back on the dragon. She dispelled it. I managed to get enfeeble on these guys, reducing their strength by 2. And then I attempted to hit them with the pendulum, but unfortunately failed the roll. So on to my The mortar finally hit something. It managed to hit this unit of Glade Riders that was standing right there. It actually missed, but scattered and still managed to hit several of them because of where I'd placed it. And killed 2. They panicked and ran a little ways back, but I'm sure they're going to rally. And surprisingly enough, my archers here actually put 1 wound on the dragon. So that was awesome. Now on to close combat. My only close combat was against the Glade Guard, which the Reichsguard were able to dispatch, losing one of their own in the process. So on to Wood Elf turn 5. As expected, the Glade Riders rallied. The Bears, as expected, charged into the mortar, so there goes the last of my artillery. Glade Riders ran from over here into a position to threaten my archers. The dragon just turned around to threaten this unit. The Treekin attempted to charge but failed and ended up just moving 5 inches forward. So on to her shooting phase. Is there any? Yes, there is. On to the Glade Riders managed to kill off 2 of the archers, but they made their leadership. And Eastern Arahan managed to kill off 3 of the swordsmen, but they also made their panic tests. So on to close combat, which, yep, time for a mortar to die. Be back in a minute. The mortar crew is dead. Sadness. And she overran 8. So I'm going to move them into position and then take a look at the table and on to the Empire's next turn. Just a quick panoramic of the table so you get an idea what's going on. So these guys are off on the side. Just rallied. Right in the center of the table where the fun is, got the Knight's Reichsguard right there. Unfortunately, a unit of archers in between them and the Knight. On their flank is the Glade Riders. The Treekin that just managed to kill off the mortar crew. And these Treekin are quickly trying to make a Imperial State Soldier sandwich. I'm not feeling very comfortable at the moment. So it's on to Empire turn 5. So, with the way the dragon was positioned, I was able to charge the dragon with my archers. Most of them, more were actually on the back flank than the front flank, so they charged it in the rear. And that got them out of the way of the Reichsguard, who managed to charge them. And then these guys, stuck between 2 units of Treekin, said to hell with it and charge. And then he attempted to charge and only rolled a 2. So he's standing there whimpering. So on to close combat. Make that magic. Managed to get miasma off on these guys, reducing their weapon skill by 2. And their strength is still reduced by 2, so maybe I have a chance. So off to close combat. So even with all the hexes, I managed to kill no bears. They managed to kill 2 of my swordsmen, but I made my leadership test. And the fight continues. Over here, my knights lost 3 of their number, but managed to kill Nystra, Arahan, and knock the dragon down to 1 wound. He broke, but was less than an inch away from going off the table. But at least he's in the way of the bears. So on to elf turn. Glade Riders marched across the table just for the fun of it. These Glade Riders charged into my archers. They were too close for a stand and shoot. The Treekin managed to charge the Knights. The dragon rallied, is just standing there looking ominous. And we are still in the fight over there. So off to close combat, because she can't shoot anything. Nothing's not in combat. Okay, so I won the fight over here against the Treekin. Karl Franz is the bomb against multi-wound models. They managed to break and run off the table. They caused a panic test in the dragon, who also ran off the table. They chose not to overrun. Instead, they reformed, facing the unit of light cav over here. Over here, I lost the combat again, losing 1 more guy. And we are going to move on to Empire's final turn. So in movement phase, the Knights managed to charge in here. The stand and shoot did no wounds, so I got them in close combat. Over here, we went ahead and did magic phase. I attempted to get Mind Razor off, but she managed to dispel it. And then I attempted to cast Miasma, and I got it, reducing both their weapon skill and their initiative to 1. So let's see if I can survive this round of combat. So, the Knights were able to finish off the light calf, and this is the last turn, so I'm just going to end that. She won combat over here. I lost 2 of my state troops, took a wound to my engineer, and a wound to my warrior priest. But I managed to make my leadership. So they survive. And considering I have almost all my characters left and only 3 models left that are not characters, I think I have enough points to pull this off as a minor victory. But now that was a bloody fight. She still has a unit of tree cannon left and 2 Glade Riders. I have the characters, 2 Reichsguard, 1 state troop, and those 3 characters. Wow. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you like. Thank you for your time. Bye.